Well, hey everybody, welcome to the On the Michael Three White podcast. I'm super excited to have a a strong leader, a engaging speaker, uh, somebody who has a fascinating story. Like I've told off camera, he used to be in the Secret Service, which I don't know anybody who is in that space. But regardless of that, just a pastor, a leader, a servant, and a father and a husband as well. I'm excited to bring to you all Jose Vargas to the podcast. Jose, how are you doing today?
Good, Ray. Thank you so much for having me, man. It's such an honor to be here on the mic with Ray. So thank you so much for having me, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, so Jose and I we got connected actually in various ways. One way through the organization that we help are a part of, Third Culture People. So we're a part of that group and just within cultural intelligence and leadership intelligence in that space. But then also via Instagram through a small group called the Victory Squad, which we were just helping promote each other's content and encouraging one another in that space. But um, the joys of COVID and technology and the internet, you can meet people anywhere. So I'm excited to
That's right.
meet you, Jose, and see just the awesome things that you're putting out there into the world.
No, likewise, Ray. Working together with 3CP, initially that's where we met. But yeah, no, definitely, and seeing the stuff that you've been putting out. I know last week you had an author on your show, so that was a great interview as well. So yeah, man, I'm excited to be here.
Man, so I want to start here. I want to start at this point where you know you are in college, right? A lot of the listeners that I'm engaging with or that talking with are at that college age stage or kicking off into their career and stepping into the spaces where they're trying to figure out what it is that they want to do in life. What was that? What was the college experience for you? And could you describe that a little bit for the group, for the audience?
Yeah, so my path wasn't like the college experience that a lot of college students are experiencing right now. So if you're listening to this and you had an opportunity to go to college, maybe your parents sent you to college, maybe you were able to pick the college that you were going to go to. So kudos to you. I didn't have that experience. My experience was a little different. After high school, I had a few things that I wanted to do. I wanted to speak. I wanted to write books. I wanted to be in law enforcement, and I wanted to start my own business. Those are the things that I wanted to do. And so I proceeded to do just that. And shortly after high school, I took the police test and ranked on the list, but didn't make it high enough on the list at the first shot. So kept moving forward, kept doing my thing, kept working, kept going to school, to college. But the difference is, and what I say that it was a different path is because I was like many probably listening, but I was working and paying as I went.
Mm.
I didn't finish college though,
Okay.
so I paid as I went. I just as I went, I paid, and when I couldn't pay anymore, I stopped going. But so that was my path. But throughout the process of going to school, I realized that I have this vision for my life. I had a few desires that I wanted to do, um, and one of them was to be in law enforcement. And I remember, Ray, when I initially took the test, like I said, I didn't rank high enough on the list, and then I remember going back, and this time I made it on the list. And they gave me the letter. They sent me the letter in the mail. I was excited. I was pumped up. I'm getting ready to start one of my dreams to be in law enforcement for the city that I grew up in, Trenton, New Jersey. And I remember when I first went into the academy, we were in a parking lot all ready. I had my boots on. I had my gear on. I was ready. They were yelling at us. They were making people do push-ups and sit-ups. And I was like, man, this is awesome. So I was just trying to keep a straight face so that I wouldn't get yelled at. And I remember while I was in the academy, I was doing the jumping jacks in the middle of a push-up. One of the captains come to me and said, "Recruit Vargas, come with me." He pulled me to the stairway. He says, "Unfortunately, we're not going to allow you to continue because the doctor would not clear you. They found Wolff Parkinson White syndrome in your heart." And
Mm.
so, as you can imagine, I was devastated. It was like literally someone took a needle and bursted my bubble. and I was devastated. I was discouraged, and I went home, and I was in disbelief. I really, I'm a person of faith, and I was praying. I was talking to God, and really couldn't understand why this dream. I was right there, and yet it was snatched from me. And so, I could have done two things at that moment. I could have just wallowed in pity and poor me, and even though I did some of that,
Mhm.
but I didn't stay there, right? I got back up and I said, well, if this is not the path for me, well, then I'm going to continue to pursue the other things that I had in mind, right? Speaking, and I wanted to speak and write and all these sorts of things that I was able to do and still do to this day because I'm passionate about it. Um, but I didn't allow that to take me off the path. But I did go through some stages, and
Mm.
this is the part that I want to talk about because oftentimes we glaze over the tragedy and we just highlight the triumph, right? And so when I was going through that devastation, that moment of devastation, and if you ever had a dream snatched from your hands, then you know what I'm talking about, that feeling. And I went through three stages, and I want to just share them briefly with you. The first one was I was in a stage of denial. When they said that I don't really have that. I mean, I'm young, I'm healthy, stuff like this don't happen to me. So I was in a stage of denial, and I was in that stage for a very long time, for about almost 2 years
Wow.
of me saying, I really don't have this. Maybe I'll just pray and it'll go away. And then the second stage, I was in a stage of contemplation. And not only was I in denial, but I was also contemplating streaming law enforcement. And what basically is, I had this condition that they call Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. What Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome is, just to simplify it, it's basically your heart is divided in four chambers. And they said that I had an extra vein. Usually that vein is in the middle of the four chambers that pumps electricity from the top to the bottom of your heart, or vice versa. I can't remember right now, but I had an extra vein that they had to go in and burn off if I was ever going to be chasing someone, if I had an encounter with someone, and I would run the risk of passing out. So, anyways, 2 years of contemplating, 2 years of wondering, maybe I don't have this, maybe I do, maybe I should do this, maybe I don't know. So 2 years. And then I went through the third phase, Ray, which is the decision stage. I made a decision. And that's when everything changed. I made a decision and I researched during the contemplation stage. I said, you know what? And when I hit the decision stage, I said, you know what? I need to find a doctor. And I researched some doctors, and I finally went in and got the situation resolved. And now I'm healthy and whole. But the point is, and obviously made it into the Secret Service. But the point is this: if you're listening to me today, you're probably in one of those stages.
Mm.
You're gonna have disappointments. You're gonna have setbacks in life. You're going to have rough moments. Some people have them more than others, right? But the key to this is not to be in a stage of denial, but is to go into the third stage as quickly as you can, and is to make that decision. And so what I do right now, long story short, I graduated president of my class for the United States Secret Service and was able to protect the president and vice president of the United States of America. I mean, a kid from Trenton, New Jersey, who along the way had so many different, what I call detours,
Mm.
but eventually got to the place because I made a decision. And so whoever's listening, whatever you have in mind, whatever your goal is, whatever your vision for your life is, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, it doesn't always, you don't always have to go the conventional route, the route that mom and dad says you need to take, or the route that society or social media says you need to take. The reality is, when your vision is big and your reason is strong enough, you're going to go after it. And so if you're stuck today, the best place to start is, and this is what I share, Ray, when I'm leading people or coaching people or training, is start with where you are. Start with where you are. A lot of people want to start with, this is what I want to do. I'm going to just start doing it. And then they quit 3 months from now because they never realized and took inventory of where they were, right? And this is what I call the lead through method, right? So the first stage in the lead through method, if you want to accomplish meaningful things in life, if you want to go after your dreams, and you want to go after the things that are in your heart, first locate where you currently are today, right? And when I say where are you located, I'm talking about where are you emotionally? Where are you spiritually? Where are you mentally? Where are you emotionally? Where are you physically? Where are you financially? Where are you relationally? Answering all these questions. And yes, this is tough work, right? Because you do have to dig in a little deeper and really be honest with yourself and look at the man or the woman in the mirror and say, all right, where am I really? Where am I really? Am I where I want to be in life? Am I in the career that I want to be in? Am I in the classes that I want to take? And if this is not really what I want to do, this is not the thing that is going to make me happy, if this is not the thing that I see for my life, then you need to change it. The second step I call dissecting it, right? That you're doing that got you to where you are. I realized, so as a kid who grew up in Trenton, New Jersey, in a neighborhood where gunshots and drug deals were the norm, I grew up in that type of environment. And let me just say this, that even though, and the reason I say that, Ray, is because it doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter if who didn't help you, who didn't support you. It doesn't matter who was there, who wasn't there. What matters is that you make a decision and that you assess where you currently are. And then you begin to dissect what has led me here, right? So a lot of things in life are not our fault. There are things in life we can't control. There are things in life that we had no control over. But there's certain things in life, and there's a few that you have control over. And those are the areas that you start dissecting and saying, okay, what am I doing that's giving me the result that I'm getting in life? And what am I not doing that's not giving me the result? Stop hating on someone else and begin to do what that person is doing if you want to get what that person is getting. So dissecting it is really saying, all right, what do I have at my disposal? And what do I have in my hands right now? And what has gotten me to where I am today? What attitudes, what way of speaking, what way of thinking? Am I in denial? So all these sorts of things that we do, Ray, that really keeps us in the hole. And someone once said that if you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. Stop digging, right? So if you find yourself in a hole, that's a great place to be because you have some discovery to do. Okay, what got me here? What got me here? And if I realize two things, number one, I realize the things that if I'm at a place that I don't want to be, I realize very quickly the things that I'm doing that I need to change. Or number two, if I'm at a place where I want to be and everything is going good, I realize some of the recipes for success, some of the principles that I'm doing that's working. You should be proud of yourself. Some things that you're doing is working, that it's giving you the success that you're seeing. And some principles are transferable in every area of your life. So continue to do those, right? And then you look at these two things and say, all right, what are the areas that I don't want to continue to do, right? What are the actions that I'm doing that I don't want to continue to practice? And what are the things that I need to continue to do, double down on so that I can continue to see the results in my life? So that's the second stage. Yeah. And then the third stage there's 7 stages, but I'll just give you 3. The third stage is the dreaming it stage, what I call the dreaming it stage. And this is the stage where you envision your life. What is it that I want really? Not what do my parents want for me, even though they want great things for me. Not what do my teacher want for me. Not what my neighbors want for me. What do I want really? What do I want to contribute to this world? How do I want to use my gifts? How do I want to use my talents? You can only know your gifts and your talents and your abilities by what? By going to the first stage, by assessing where you are. Where am I? What are my gifts? What are my talents? What are my abilities? What are the areas that people say I'm strong in? Does that make sense?
Well, it makes tremendous sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So then you can start dreaming and envisioning this life. And what is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to accomplish? How do you want to contribute to the world? Ray, I know definitely now that I want to pour into other leaders. I want to help leaders who find themselves, who are successful, but find themselves stuck. And we all get stuck in life. We all get stuck, whether that's mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, in any area that you might be stuck in, these principles work. And so I'm on a mission literally to help leaders get clear, get unstuck so that they can fulfill their purpose and be more impactful in this world.
Yeah, yeah. That's powerful, man. And what I appreciate the fact that the as you walk through parts of the lead through method and your mission of just impacting and pouring into the future to leaders so that way they can become better leaders for their organization, for what they want to pursue in life and their goals, their families, things of that nature. It all seemed like it started from a place of your own self-discovery, right? Like your
Absolutely.
own particular holes that you were either placed in or just found yourself in by those circumstances. And what I appreciate is that it wasn't like you said, like you had a moment where you were in denial to work it through that, but then started continuing further in the stages to realize I have to make a decision here because I
Hmm.
don't want to stay here.
Hmm.
There are other opportunities that you've listed out that you want to reach to, but in order for me to take those steps forward in those spaces, I got to move. Like I got to make a decision, um,
Hmm.
and that's impactful. What
Yeah.
what were because I recognize too that that's challenging for a lot of folks to want to move.
Hmm.
Um, what were some of the challenges that were holding you up from moving, and who was in your life at that time that said, you know what, Jose, you could do this, or you can make this effort to make a decision and to move forward and not stay in this space?
Yeah, no, right. It's definitely, you nailed it, right? There's definitely a challenge, right? It's definitely because it takes work. Anytime that you're required to change, it takes work. People change for two reasons. One, because they have to, right?
Yeah.
COVID, right? A perfect example. It made us change. It forced a lot of people to make changes that they were unwilling to make before, right? So, or change when you're able to, right? And I rather choose when I'm able to, because I have a little bit more control. And when you are change when you're able to, it's challenging, it's hard, because you're going to confront barriers and you're going to confront obstacles and challenges. But the key to it is to be persistent, right? To be persistent. But there's something that you said there in that question that I wanted to answer. You said, who was there.
Yeah.
Honestly, there were people who were there in my life, but there were also friends and people who were close to me who said, maybe that wasn't for you.
Mm.
Maybe you should close that door. You well-meaning, well-intended, no malice in their hearts. They really wanted me to understand, hey, it's okay. But it didn't help, because this is what I wanted. So a lot of times people are not going to see what you see. A lot of times people are not going to understand what you feel truly, in the sense that it's not their dream. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to realize, okay, this is the dream that God has placed in my heart. This is the vision that I have for my life. So everybody's not going to always understand. There's going to be people who are well-meaning, who are going to say, hey, maybe you should take this route. But the reality is going back to that first stage. Okay, but where am I? Right? Where am I? Where am I? What is it that I want? And so another key element for me getting that breakthrough early on, that brought me to from stage 1 to stage 3, the decision stage, it's this concept of, physically, I had to give my heart to the right doctor, right? I had to give my heart to the right doctor. When I asked around, I asked a few people who I knew who had heart procedures. Some of them had open heart surgery, and I said, "Hey, who did you go to?" And they, well, don't go to this hospital, don't go to this doctor. They messed up. Which, hello, alert, right?
Yeah.
Gave me some warnings. So a lot of times we need to listen and seek out advice from those around us, right? Even though they might tell us things we don't want to hear. But the reality is being open to feedback. Someone once said that if you push back from feedback, you push back from a better version of yourself. And I believe that is true. If we push back from feedback, we push back from becoming better. And I remember at that moment, I literally I had to choose who I had to give my heart to, my physical heart.
Right.
Who's going to perform this surgery? And in the process of me looking, I found this doctor, and they had good reviews. And finally, I made my decision, and I was perfectly fine afterwards. But there's in a realm, in the spiritual realm, Who do we give our hearts to as people? We give our heart to bitterness. Do we give our heart to doubt? Do we give our heart to low self-esteem and to all these sorts of things, comparison, right? And if you give your heart to the wrong person, your heart is going to be shattered. Your heart is going to be messy. Your heart is going to just continue to be hurt, right? But if you give your heart to the right people and just, hey, if this dream didn't work out, or if you find yourself stuck, you know what? I'm going to seek counsel. I'm going to seek advice, but I'm going to continue to purify my heart. I'm going to continue to give my heart to the, just to the right people, so to speak. I'm not going to let bitterness come in. I'm not going to let doubt come in. And part of that is coming out of that. Part of that is helping you make that decision, right? And not allowing the setback to hold you back, but allowing it to propel you forward with more experience, basically.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it does make sense. That makes sense. I'm definitely stuck on the fact of the physicalness of you giving your heart to someone.
Yeah.
Not many people have that experience or have that type of like contemplative decision making of, like my life is literally going to be in the hands of someone else, and
Absolutely.
how do I process that and work through giving that up? And then I love the connection to the spiritual realm and in our soul, in the way that we engage and connect with various things. Because realistically, it's the same from a conceptual perspective. Obviously, two different routes of how it goes out, but conceptually, it's very similar.
The impact. I love what you said. I love that question and statement, because people might say, well, it's not my physical heart. Your emotional heart is, I think it's equally important. Like you said, and let me just share a story with you. When I was in the 6th grade, I had my first trip, right, to do rock climbing, wall climbing indoors. I was excited, like any 6th grade boy would be. I was excited to go rock climbing for the first time. And I remember as I went there and they strapped me up, they put this harness on me, and I started climbing up. I remember my focus was upward and just making sure that my foot was in the right place. I was excited. I was climbing up. And as I got up, Ray, something happened. When I made it all the way up, you know what happened? I looked down. When I looked down, all of a sudden this wave of fear started just crippling me. This feeling of fear and doubt, and what if I fall? And I still remember it. What if I fall? What if I get hurt? What if this rope breaks? How am I going to get back down? And I was stuck on top of that wall. I was stuck. And the longer I stayed stuck, the more the crowd got at the bottom. Everybody, come down. You're going to be all right. Come down. And the more embarrassed I got, right? But here's what happened. I didn't stay up there. Here's what happened, Ray. This big man with a long beard, I remember him with a long beard. He just started climbing up. And as he started climbing up, he got to the top. He didn't judge me. He didn't criticize me. He didn't shame me. He said, it's going to be all right, kid. We're going to get down together. And we got down together. We got down safely from that wall. I was able to get unstuck because someone helped me. And the reality is that just like in the natural, with my physical heart going to the right hospital, to the right doctor, we have to be very careful who we give our heart to. What's in our hearts? Well, our dreams, our desires, our goals, our ambitions, our love, right? All these different attributes of who we are is in our hearts, right? And sometimes we give it to the wrong person who crushes it, who shames us. Sometimes we give it to the wrong person who puts us down and say, hey, you're never going to achieve that dream. You didn't go to college. What? You're never going to achieve that dream. But the reality is you need to guard your heart. You need to be careful who you give your heart to. So yeah, that I don't want to overdo my stay here, but yeah, that's basically the message here.
Oh my goodness. So I'm hyped right now. I'm hyped in a lot of ways because you definitely are giving a lot of nuggets and pieces for people to conceptualize on how to approach, a problem, a challenge, get unstuck, work to certain things. And it's needed because we all face challenges in life. And a lot of times we find ourselves stuck, but not really know how to get out of that and not really know how to progress through that and what we should be thinking through and working through in those stages. And something that I would love for you to touch on is obviously your decision to be that guide, to decide to say, you know what, uh, I don't want to just go through my life and just, carve my path that I've already created as a, in law enforcement and working through these stages, but I wanted to be able to reach back and help other people navigate through those things. What was that decision like? Like when did you make that decision and say, you know what, I want to turn right around and help others with this, and talk a little bit about what that process was for you?
Yeah, I think it was a progressive process, meaning, I remember when I was 17 years old, I published my first book. And I remember the feeling that I got being able to share a story. It wasn't a good book, honestly. It was a crappy book. Don't buy the first book. But the point is, I got it done. The point is, I got to share a story. And it got me hooked. It got me hooked because I started speaking at a very early age. I started leading at a very early age, and I started writing at a very early age. And so it got me hooked on empowering people and being able to connect with people deeply and being able to help them and not only help them at their level, but allowing my experiences. It's one thing to teach from a book, but it's another thing to teach from your life. And I think when you teach from your life, people are touched. People are impacted deeply because you connect with them as another human being, as a fellow on this journey called life.
Yeah.
So I got hooked at a very early age, and I realized if I go through negative experiences, which I've gone through a lot of negative experiences, but I've also been blessed. I've gone through so many positive things, and I'm living my dream life. I really am. Am I done dreaming? Absolutely not. I mean, I have more goals, things that we want to buy, things that we want to do, things, people that we want to continue to impact. The person, I want to become a better leader. Right
Yeah.
now, I'm being challenged as a father, right? I'm a father of a toddler. So you in life, you don't get to go through things twice, right? You go through them once. So you're learning and growing as you're going, right? That's good. You're learning and growing as you're going.
That is good. I'm glad
Um,
you said that.
but as you're learning and growing as you're going, you have to pause and say, do I want what I'm learning to stop with me, or
Mm,
or to be wasted, right? Wasted, quote unquote wasted. Nothing is ever wasted. But do I want it to stop with me, or do I want to transfer this lesson to someone else?
mhm.
And I think we need to be selfless enough to say, I want to transfer this to someone else, because I don't want them to either go through the negative experience that I went through, or maybe what I went through will be able to help them, propel them even to a deeper or higher level. So
Right.
yeah, I'm definitely hooked on developing people, man, and empowering people, encouraging people. I love it.
I love it. I love it. And the fact that this progressive journey that you've been on, it wasn't like a obviously coming out of your own shared experiences, and you're packaging those lessons to be able to then turn around and help other people who are in that same state, um, and navigate and grow out of that. And that's necessary. Like I feel like, as what I'm learning quite a bit, talking with you right now is, our experiences are our greatest teachers, right?
Mhm.
and,
Absolutely.
and if we continue to pull from those lessons or pull from those experiences, we'll be able to understand who we are, and help paint that picture to the vision that where we want to go. Um, and the fact that you are then, like, again, you're not doing that just for yourself. You're turning around and sharing that with other folks is phenomenal. And so, you've been dropping a lot of gems, and a lot of frameworks for people to grasp on, because this is your business. Like, you, one of your four things that you wanted to do. You talked about being an author, you've been speaking, you've done law enforcement in various ways, and now and you're also running a business. Tell us a little bit about what that business looks like for you, and who are you engaging, how are you impacting them?
Yeah. So I started the Jose Vargas show just to get more of that message out there, right? To try to really share my story, empower people, and build a community of leaders, like-minded leaders who understand that you have one life, who understand that your life can either be a positive influence or a negative one, because you're going to be an influence, right? And so, yeah, I started a business a leadership development and relational intelligence coaching business. And it's basically, I do three things. I speak, I coach, and I train. And so, and the topic is what we're talking about, leadership development, relational intelligence, perseverance, and everything that we've discussed. But yeah, so it's been quite a journey. Running a business is definitely not easy. It's still a learning process for me. I'm still learning and growing and tweaking and adapting. And again, and anytime that I still get stuck in the business aspects of things, because I'm new to business, I've been in business now for 2 years.
Okay.
So the concept that I'm teaching, I still apply it in my life. The concept of, okay, where am I? This happens probably weekly. My wife is looking at me like, you're doing it again, right? Where am I? Where am I in the business? Where's the business? Okay. And not only that, but what has led me here? Right? What have I done that has given me the success that I have had up to this point? Right? Or what have I done that is not giving me the results that I want? Right? So just continuing to tweak, continuing to dissect, continuing to get my hands dirty, because that's how you grow. That's how you develop. There's not a place in success where you just arrive. It's a constant growth. It's a constant, again, growing while you're learning and growing while you're going. So, which I like that. I'm gonna keep saying that. So
You
that's
should
good.
keep saying that. Yeah, you definitely should hit that, man. That's a good phrase. Oh, you've been in business for 2 years. I didn't know. Every time I see, which I'm, and this is probably why, because I've seen your content. I've seen your website, and again, the other places we've even engaged with, and you're in your bag. You're well versed. You're visually, everything looks great. And the fact that you've done it for 2 years, just I'm impressed, because
Thank you.
you're putting out so much good content and information and helping people along the way, and it just looks phenomenal. So
Thank
uh
you, Ray. I appreciate that. I
yeah, man.
appreciate that. It's been, turned it into a business for the past 2 years, but I've been doing this for the past 15 years.
Right.
Speaking and pouring into other people and pouring into other leaders for the past 15 years.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been a life calling, and throughout the different stages of, of the pursuit of the vision and the dreams that I believe God has placed in my heart. And even if you're not a person of faith, the vision and the dreams that are in your heart, I'm a firm believer, and some people might disagree with this. Some people will tell you you can't do everything, right? And I agree to that. I agree to that with that statement to an extent, right? You can't do everything all at once. You really can't.
Mm-hmm.
But you can go after everything that's in your heart. Not all at once, but in stages and at different seasons and times in your life. And the worst case scenario is that things don't work out. Right? There's
Right.
always that risk that things are not going to work out.
Right.
But if they don't work out, the best thing that can happen is that you can learn, right? Again, if you make it a class.
Right.
If you just go through things without really thinking about it, then yeah, you're wasting time. But the reality is it's never a waste of time if you evaluate what you just been through, what
Right.
you're going through, So yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Man, that's awesome. And yeah, like you said, it's formally 2 years, but 15 years packaged, into this format, and just accelerating into this space. Maybe a slight vulnerable question that I would love to hear from you is, the challenges that you're facing by it now formalizing into the business. You mentioned that you're young in the business world. You're figuring these things out. What are some of the challenges that you often find yourself while running this business?
I mean, when you're in business for yourself, man, you wear all the different hats, so
Yeah.
so I've learned over the last few years, I've learned a lot. I mean, I learned how to market. I learned just different things, hired a coach, and different people have invested in myself. But it's still challenging in the sense that you're trying to generate income, right? But at the same time, you want to stay focused on the things that brings you your biggest fulfillment, which is which is to talk to people, which is to empower people and help people get those breakthroughs. So there's that constant balance of, okay, let me focus on doing what I love to do, which is to empower people. But at the same time, if I don't bring in revenue, then there's not really a business. So that's one of the struggles. And the other struggle, if I'm honest and transparent with you, is being great. And my wife has taught me this, being graceful towards yourself. You
Mm,
know, oftentimes as business owners or entrepreneurs or people who want to make an impact in the world, influencers, we grind very hard and we don't celebrate the small wins.
right.
And my wife reminded me when we were pastoring, I would encourage our leaders, hey, celebrate the small wins. And she's like, hey, take that advice now, celebrate the small wins, right? Because sometimes when we're in the middle of it, those small wins don't seem like much.
Right.
The reality is that anytime that you're taking steps forward, that's progress.
Right.
And so you have to celebrate those small wins, or else you'll burn out and you feel like a failure because you're not getting the results of this big vision, right? So that's why I'm constantly applying this principle of the lead through method of, hey, where am I? What got me here? Where am I? What got me here? What is it that I want? Where am I? What got me here? What is it that I want? And again, there's other steps, but that's the key point of when you're driving on the road of life, you want to make sure that you know exactly where you are. And if you don't know where you are, it's called being lost, right?
Exactly.
And it's okay. And it's okay to be lost once in a while, but you can't live life lost, right? You got to live intentionally. You got to live on purpose, going to a specific destination. And if you don't know, I would say call somebody, ask somebody, hire a coach like I did. You can call me, hire Ray, whatever. Hire someone who can give you perspective and who's really for you and in your corner, who wants you to win. So that's what I would say.
I love it, man. So, uh, shout out to our significant others, because I feel like without our significant others, we could be in our heads often. And as you stated, like, we'll miss out on some of those intentional moments where we could celebrate the small wins or be reminded of what's truly important and valuable, and just persevere and pursue. So that's awesome that your wife constantly tells you your own advice.
That's
To
right.
I get that. I get that. No, man, I am just, again, I'm hyped that we had the chance just to chat through this, and for me just to hear some of the stories and how you've progressed and what you're continuing to progress towards, has been impactful for me, especially because I love hearing just the stories in which that fuel you and motivate you to continue to keep going. And then again, that is a servant mindset, that you're not doing it to help other people get to their breakthrough and lead as well. That's phenomenal. As we look ahead, because I know you're constantly asking yourself, where am I? How did I get here? Where I want to go, right? Where do you want to go as you're constantly in that reflective state? What does the next step look like for you, with whether personally in your business or moving forward? What does that look like?
Yeah. Well, personally, I share this cheesy, but it's true of me. Um, and it's this concept of, growing up, I didn't have my biological father in the picture. And for me, I think that leadership starts at home. I really do believe that. And like I said, you don't have do-overs in life. You get life, you can do life one time. So you're learning as you're going. But the point is, I want to each day become a better father, a better husband. That's the most important thing for me, because I will lead the world or others and other leaders, which is my vision for my life. I want to lead other leaders. Um, you can only lead other people if you are leading yourself and your family. I believe that. I really do believe that. Because the people in your home, they're the people who see you at your worst. They're the people that see you without filters. without the Snapchat or Instagram and all those different things. Those are the people. And if you can be that same person at home that you are to the rest of the world, then you're winning. And so for me, what I say sounds cheesy because I want my daughter when she gets to be 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever, as long as I'm alive, I want her to be able to come to me as her father and say, Dad, I love you. Thank you for instilling these values and principles in my life and wanting to be around my presence because she knows that when she leaves my presence, she will be refreshed. And so that is a personal vision of mine, one of the most important for me. And of course, to continue to empower leaders, to be a safe haven for leaders, to really be a safe haven for leaders in a world where it can be cold and where so many people are just looking out for themselves. I want to be a place where leaders can go to and be refreshed as well. So
Yeah,
that's some of the vision that I have.
I love it. I love it. Man, both camps. I mean, obviously, all of it. We're talking to you, but especially, but the at home piece, the fathering element of it is, and that's truly important. And as much as a lot of us who want to be influential and impactful have our names, or not necessarily our names and lights, but just the impact that we want to give and have other people feel. Yeah, if we can't do that at home, then what's the point? What's it worth? And if
Right.
memories that we're instilling within our children, the values, the principles that they are going to one day hope that carry forward one day, we want it to be full of integrity, full of love, full of just all kinds of um, purposeful values. And yeah, like you said, leadership truly is necessary at home. And it's like honestly one of the best places to practice it because you get
Mhm.
the chance to go through the whole everything from
And
the
you get to practice it, and that's the place where I believe you're, particularly if you have toddlers, where you're challenged the most.
yeah, I'm ready for the day when my children especially get to a certain age, in elementary, middle school, where they roll their eyes because their dad is on a whole another is on another. All right, son, you need to know
Yeah.
these principles, and I got charts and flow and frameworks and everything. But I'm excited for that moment because I know that they've heard it over and over, and hopefully, you know, that seed is sown in their hearts and in their minds to then carry forward and be like, okay, now I know how to act in certain situations because I saw my dad do it, or we talked about it at home, and I feel well equipped to
Right.
move forward. Like you said, feel refreshed to go back out there into the world and make an impact in those spaces as well. So I love the fact that that's on your mind and heart, as the first and foremost, uh, personally, and that's amazing, man. That's even a legacy. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Amen. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So, where can people find you? I mean, again, like I would hope, I know this, that people are going to listen to this and they're going to be like, dang, you know what? I need a breakthrough myself, right? Like, I know there's some areas I want to grasp. There's some goals I want to obtain, but the path of how to get there and what ways to get there. They listen to you. They like your vibe. They like what you're articulating as a resource. How can people get in touch with you to work with you?
Yeah, they can go to my website at reachinghighernow.com. All one word, reachinghighernow.com. They can follow me on Instagram at reach higher now, or check out a free resource, the Jose Vargas Show, and where you can put me in your ear, work out, and hear some stories. So
Love it. I love it. Oh man. Okay, so with the Jose Vargas show, real quick, since we're both in the podcasting space, you say you jumped into it because you're like, hey, you know what? Like I gotta work this gift. Like I got something to say. I want to put it out there and go forth with it. Tell me a little bit more about what the like. I'm also want to know what challenges you're facing in that space too. But just how how are you? How is that show working for you? Like what it was it giving within you? What type of life is it breeding by producing the Jose Vargas show?
yeah, I think it's It's first of all, it's long overdue, I think, in my opinion, because I've been wanting to have an outlet to be able to share some ideas and concepts with other leaders. When I was pastoring years ago, I was able to do it every Sunday,
Mm,
right? But it's a little different. So for me, it's just being able to pour into another person and really share these values, these principles, and hopefully, and these stories, personal stories, to hopefully allow that individual that might be going through things. You know, right? One thing for me, communication is so powerful,
mm,
and that's why I love it so much. Because for me, that's what helped transform my life. For me, that's what helped shape who I am, and it's continuing to shape who I am because I'm consistently feeding my ear and feeding my heart and my mind voices of value, voices that will empower me, voices who will reinforce some of the things that I believe, voices who will challenge some of the things that I believe. And so for me, it's so important because of the impact that it had on me that I want to continue to be that for someone else. And that's what I strive to do at every episode, whether I'm interviewing, and I select the people that I'm interviewing carefully because I want them to have that heart to serve leaders as well.
right.
Because you never know where someone is. Someone today might be listening to us and they might be on top of that wall, like I was when they were when I was in the sixth grade. I don't want someone to climb up that wall and judge them and criticize them and make them feel small for being stuck. But I want them to find hope in that person, you know, in that voice and say, "Man, you gave me courage to come back down.
Yeah,
You gave me courage to take this business to the next level. You gave me courage to take my leadership and not only at work, but take it to my house and make my home a better place to live." So that's what I hope. I hope that I will be able to be like that guy who came up to rescue me. I want to be able to help someone who may be stuck and say, "Hey, it's okay. We all been stuck. Let's come down together and let's go get that thing that you really want in life."
I love it. Man, that's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate the fact that you are, you're giving your heart out in many ways, but for the right reasons, for the reasons to help instill and empower the other leaders and next generation to go after what they want. Thank you for creating safe spaces and safe havens for leaders to thrive, develop and thrive, and sharing your stories and sharing the ways that what you've learned and what can be utilized to impact them in their next stages, man. Um, I'll definitely be
Thank you.
dropping all of your ways so that we can find you, your show, and more ways to get in touch with you in the show notes. But um, yeah, this has been an powerful, impacting, empowering conversation with you, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today.
Ray, thank you, man. I appreciate you and thank you for letting me come on and share some of my story, man, and with your audience. So I appreciate that. Thank you.